That's where I set the wave up from.
Yeah, Love Coach Academy. We are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody.
Yep.
I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas. And welcome to Straight Talk with my partner, Trish Wright.
Hi, good evening.
And we have three wonderful guests with us tonight. We've got John and Summer Bramer. They are the creators of the Compassion Games and the Sign Network. And we're going to learn all about both Compassion Games and Sign Network and all the amazing things that they're doing. And we also have briefly with us Peter Milton. And all of you by now probably know Peter. He's been on our show a few times. And he's been doing a long day. So we're going to kind of work with Peter a little bit, kind of towards the beginning, because today is the kickoff of the Caravan of Unity. And John, tell us a little bit about what does that mean? What is that?
It's a big deal. Today is a big deal day. A couple of things. Today was the 57th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And good news is there are many people that have dreams right now. And one of them is Ben Bowler, dear brother of ours from Unity Earth, who in 2012 began out on a journey, then picked up speed on 2012, all headed towards Peace Weekend 2020. And today, caravans, plural, of unity have begun the journey towards Peace Weekend. And the one that was in the United States was at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. And Peter, the reason why he's tired is because he was there all day with Fumi John Stewart from May Peace Prevail on Earth and an incredible cast of characters who launched the Caravan of Unity, including, for instance, a song called Together as One, written by the person who is the John Lennon in the cavern in Liverpool. So there was a Caravan of Unity from Europe. It actually started at Rumi's tomb, of all places. So the Caravan of Unity at Grace Cathedral today is really significant because Martin Luther King spoke there, and the Caravan of Unity will end up on the National Mall where the speech was given on September 28th. But Peter was there on the ground with the team. Gary Milken, who's won many Emmy Awards for his remarkable work, orchestrated an inspiring day to really launch the caravan. It's now headed down to LA, where Peter's going to follow it as part of the team. So it's great to have Peter here. He was right there on the ground. He can give us the experience from what was it like, Peter, to be there with the launch of the Caravan of Unity from Grace Cathedral.
Yeah, thank you, John, and thank you for your role in the vision and the co-collaborators with Ben and so many others to bring this thing to life. And really just honored that the time and the place and the space was right for me to get to play and going on this caravan with Mike and Chris Molda of Creative Minds. They're handling all the tech, and I'm the tech helper and on the ground run arounder as best I can. And kind of today was really trippy because I was the one person in the audience at Grace Cathedral for most of the show in this gigantic theater. There it is. Just, and that was my, well, that's up top. That's the panorama from up top. That's Grace Cathedral there. So I was the one participant there most of the day. And so it was really just epic to be there. So we started off, pulled in early in the morning in the fog, and started setting up and setting up the flag. So this was the flag ceremony that Fumi did through May Peace Prevail on Earth, and we set up all the flags into those stands that are there, right, looking out over with the cathedral in the background, and Grandma Jaunty, and there's Fumi afterwards presenting a peace pole to Gary Malkin. And that guy's something else, let me tell you. 7-time Emmy Award winner, just finished doing the soundtrack for Thrive 2. Literally finished it like yesterday or the day before. The poor guy was on crunch time for a soundtrack that he was scoring, and at the same time putting together a group of amazing internationally acclaimed folks to sing and play. It was really something. that was yeah. And then there's me with the compassion torch that
Oh,
John and Summer were speaking of, that they have sent with me and entrusted in me to take across the United States. And this was stop number one here, so I definitely wanted you to know it was present at Grace Cathedral. And boy, what a day with the flag ceremony. We put we put in the flags of 193 countries. Their names got called, and we said, "May peace prevail" in all the different countries of the world, right there in front of the cathedral, and wrapped that up and went inside for just this amazing. That's Kim Rosen, amazing poet in the background, and Gary there at his piano. Just an amazing day of music and spoken word, and just the presence. That you saw that picture of the cathedral, the being in the majesty of that location, and just the uniqueness of no people in the audience, or even more than that, me being the only person in the audience, right? And much of the time I was standing in the middle, in the aisle, back far enough to where the cameras wouldn't get me, but to where the performers could see that they were singing to something, right? There was something that it was landing on and coming back from. It wasn't just in all the way back into the cavernous program there, or into the cavernous cathedral. So, boy, couple of times, well, several times, brought to tears. Literally standing there, looking around at all the stained glass and all the beauty and gigantically high ceilings, and just in this house of infinite spirit and music tinkling into the ears and out and heart and soul, and taking pictures and posting pictures and wanting people to see what I was seeing at the same time, and so many more pictures and videos to post. But man, whew, and
Well,
and knowing it was day one, right?
thank you for sharing your energy, your enthusiasm, carrying the torch. And I want to welcome all the people in our Zoom room, all the people watching on Facebook, all the people watching through the Sine Wave Network. Um, so what does Caravan of Unity really mean? What's this about? And how can we understand more about it and even participate?
Yeah. So at the Unity Earth website, unity.earth, there's a bunch of information about the caravan and everywhere that we're going, because we're making a bunch of stops as we travel west to east across the United States, aiming to be in New York for the International Day of Peace, the 75th year anniversary of that, and then the week after that at the Washington Mall for an event with 1,000 people, and that's it, the Caravan of Unity. So originally it was going to be a physical caravan, but with COVID, it got to pivot, and in the pivoting turned into World Unity Week, and then the Up Convergence and the Peace Weekend and the Caravan of Unity, um, where myself and the two brothers with the creative minds are going to go across. And that's Pato. There is where we head on Monday. We go down to Lake Elsinore in the mountains of Southern California to meet up with Pato and Antoinette and record them sharing their take on unity and their music and their love and all the activism, and they're just a power packed couple there.
yeah, they are.
So yeah, so that's the first gist of it. From there we go to Las Vegas, and there's an event at a synagogue there. Brother Phil that you see there is setting us up with some indigenous sites to hit along the way, in between some of the stops, which is just going to be epic in itself. But we go from Vegas to Carbondale, Colorado, and on to Denver, Boulder, Loveland, and the Sunrise Ranch. Then we shoot up to Nebraska with Julie Kroll of Good of the Whole, near Kearney, Nebraska, for an evening there. That's on the 9th. And then we go to St. Louis on the 10th, where they're going to plant a peace pole. Pookie and Dr. Marty Casey planting a peace pole in St. Louis. And I think the mayor of St. Louis is going to be present, and they've got a bunch of great stuff lined up. And then we drive a couple hundred more miles to Chicago for September 11th, a gigantic, beautiful program. They got an all-day program that we're going to connect with a couple of times during the course of the day in Chicago on September 11th, on to Philly on the 17th, and New York on the 19th, 20, 21, and into Raleigh, North Carolina on the 26th, and back up to Washington, D.C. on the 28th for just our power-packed month of traveling fun.
Well, it's really, really wonderful. John, Summer, tell us how those of us who aren't blessed to be in the car with Peter having all these adventures, right? So now that you've created envy for everybody watching, all going, well, yeah, well, what do I get out of this? How can I play, right? So
Actually,
John, Summer,
yeah.
Yeah.
But go to that site again and go to the subdirectory Caravan. So go to unity.earth/caravan. If you put that in the browser, you'll see the actual stop by stop, because it's so overwhelming, the amazing things that are happening. Like, for instance, in Chicago is 9/11, when that thing's going to unfold. And, it should say Caravan.
I misspelled, I put an M instead of,
Let's see.
there we go. There we
There
go.
you go.
Now you scroll down there, you'll see more to the stop by stop. Because, for instance, I just jumping on 9/11, that happens to be remarkable. Now there you see a nice image across the map, but as you even go down stop by stop, there's an image to see. But the 9/11 one is just so interesting because it's such synchronicity. And again, each of these stops has this kind of magic to it. In 1893, on September 11th, is when the Parliament of World Religions first took place.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And like September 17th, that Peter mentioned, that's in Philadelphia, where that's Constitution Day. And at Constitution Hall, there's a prayer with America. There are people all over the world looking at America and says, you know what? America's been there for us. We need to be there for America now. And they're organizing a prayer for America so that we come to our senses and make the right choices in the days that follow. So each of these events, Michael Beckwith is where we're going to be at the Agape Center next stop, and then on to Vegas with Pato and Antoinette.
But I think the question was, how do people get involved?
All right.
And so one thing that I just have to say too about the sort of like, we would have been in a bus with Peter heading across the country. This would have been what without COVID. But, there's something really interesting about like, okay, now these events are virtual that has opened up the world to participate. Because I love that question. Like, how do we get involved? How is this relevant to anyone, anywhere in the world wanting to, I would say if you're Love Coach Academy, you're wanting to attune to the love frequency and how to participate and connect to less fear and choose love. Anything that Peter's doing along the journey, you can participate virtually. And that's the exciting part. So today, the events that happened all were virtually streamed. And they were streamed on Unity Earth's Facebook page and through our global network, the Sign Network. It's all about synergy, is many different organizations and partners through the Sign Network have been contributing and supporting what's happening on the grounds. So, and there's also still an invitation for anyone, anywhere, to have a satellite event, like to amplify and connect to that sense of getting on the Caravan of Unity, like in a way that it's an invitation, like we're all, stepping in. I felt, as Peter was at the Grace Cathedral, I felt I was there with you, Peter, and I was watching the event. I was in the stream, but I felt I was there. And that's the thing about any of these events, that it's not just what's happening on the grounds, it's how you can participate. And it's all of it is an invitation to connect to unity and see what it is you can do. Open your eyes and think about what is a simple thing that you can do where you are in the world, in your home during COVID, or in your neighborhood, that can support and amplify more unity. So there's more to it of ways to participate.
Yeah. I mean, So we're
too.
building momentum to Peace Weekend. So there's a website, peaceweekend.org. Now, here's the irony of our time. It may have been that we had to be quarantined and in lockdown for us to actually come together like
Mm.
we have before. Isn't that crazy? But that's what we're seeing. These experiences that we're now able to have together online. All of a sudden, distance and time doesn't matter. I saw
right, right.
Yeah, and
that.
like when Summer was sharing there, I felt another thing was like usually you would go to an event and you'd get all I would get all hooked up into who's here and how many people are here and I want to see everybody and I want to we've gotten so distracted that I wouldn't even be really present at the event, right? And that's one thing that really hit me today was just that, oh my God, there's no other distraction for me. I could really just freely be right here, right now, and totally take this in as much as I can. Now it's hard online too, or we're learning. I think we're growing screen hearts. We're learning how to be present on the screen where we're used to being so distracted. And that goes to what John was saying that this is pulling out of us. This whole COVID stuck on the screens, don't have all the distractions that we used to have, is pulling from us some new energies, some new ability to remember that we're all connected. And that is what I think the universe is attempting to remind us of here in these days and times.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Learning how to share.
I think that.
That's the thing about the whole sign network. Like we're making a wave right now for the Love Coach Academy. Well, we made one earlier today. Hundreds of shares were put forward because people are saying we want this to be a part of our life and we want to connect to this and make it available to the people that are following the work that we're doing. We're seeing unprecedented unified action.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I just want to tap in on this conversation around what COVID is really offering us as a global community and the way that we are learning how to connect through our intuition and through our heart-centered connection space rather than, like being really busy. We're all home, or a lot of us are home or traveling very short distances to work. And so it gives us an opportunity to be somewhat more connected to the global community and really touch in and connect to new people. Like I have made so many new friends, like, Summer and John and Peter, and just through, Scott and Love Coach Academy and Straight Talk and Saturday Night Live. Like it's really giving a lot of people access to heart-centered events and really putting it in front of their faces. So I think it's just fabulous that we're all growing and evolving. I had a question about the meaning of and the intention of the peace torch.
Uh-huh.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Well, fire. There's something powerful. The capacity to not only warm, but to bring light. So when we went to Standing Rock, so Chief Phil Lane Jr. has been a partner of mine since we met with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in September of 2008 in Seattle, an event called the Seeds of Compassion. And that birthed the Compassionate Cities and the Charter for Compassion and the Compassion Games. But there's a beautiful word called Wopida. Wopida or Wopila, Lakota, Dakota, that says that really everything that happens is for our spiritual development. And that Wopida means gratitude, that we're grateful. So when we were given this staff and we put the torch together, that fire, we carried it to Ethiopia, where we built the global fire of one love, where the peace flame and the lamp of unity and the compassion torch converged there in Lalabella, where there's 11 of these rock cut churches where the Queen of Sheba went to see King Solomon. And that torch has gone into the hands of champions of compassion all over the world. We ask people to share with us, simply introduce yourself, tell us what you're grateful for, what's your wish for the world, and who you want to pass the torch to. And by bringing light to someone else, it brightens the path for all of us. And by walking that path, we make the path visible. So we've been sharing it with champions, very well-known folks like Stevie Wonder and Michael Beckwith, but We met with this barista in Rotterdam that just blew our minds when we gave him the torch. I'll never forget. Paulo said, "Relax, you will not survive this life."
Mm.
The other thing that I just want to say about the torch as well is that I was thinking about this, of that Peter has it and the connection there of he's about to cross the US. John and I, right after Donald Trump became our president, we decided we wanted to go around the country, and we were given the staff on our way crossing the US, but we went through 27 states in 24 states in 7 weeks, something like that. So the compassion games, it was kind of connected to that, and we were, on the road, and we stopped at Standing Rock when everything was really, really alive with the water protectors from all over the world, and spent some time donating and supporting the water protectors. And just as we were about to leave, we spent time with Hereditary Chief Phil's cousin, and he gave John the staff. At the time, it was a staff, and the inspiration as we were crossing the US after that gift from him, John was like, this needs to be the compassion torch. So just so you know, Peter, as we were crossing the US and we were like stopping at these really interesting places in the country, getting fuel, and like we ordered a tiki torch top, and we had all these different ways of kind of making it a torch. And I mean, if that staff could tell stories to you, I mean, it has been all over the country. So it's really
And the
kind of
world,
coming full
good, yeah.
circle, though, as Peter's crossing the US again with that torch. So it's just really meaningful in so many ways, and so many wishes and
Oh, yeah.
prayers.
No, we
have
had it
been
in the
shared into
valley
that.
of Megiddo.
Yeah.
It was in the valley of Armageddon, just before the world locked down.
Yes.
The first week of February is World International Interfaith Harmony Week. King of Jordan put this forward in 2012. So when we went to Ethiopia, what's amazing about World Interfaith Harmony Week, and then we went to the Middle East with it, February 6th is Bob Marley's birthday. So we went down to Shashamani, the home of the Rastafari.
Okay, yeah, that was a different trip. So
No, but I'm
2
saying
years
that
before,
torch
yes.
has been with us all over the world. And it's a way to bring light to our visions. I've taken it to India recently.
Yeah,
So
it's been with when we visited His Holiness the Dalai Lama at
Yeah,
McLeod
yeah.
Ganj, and yeah,
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
those wishes for all of us to find our ways to unite, to transcend our differences, to learn how to connect through our similarity and innovate through our diversity.
So no pressure or anything, Peter, with the torch.
Yeah, got it. I got that. It was just have fun with it. Take it to a Pizza Hut or something, and everything will be
A
good.
little baseball,
Yeah.
John, Summer, Peter, thank you for carrying the light and burning away all that no longer serves, and really showing the light on the unity and the love that we all have and we all can connect to. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's just what's happening, right? I mean, this is where it's all pointing, is that we forgot. Somehow we allowed whatever created all this magic, this universe, allowed for the possibility that a species like us would show up and forget that we were the magic of the universe, cleverly disguised. And so we've forgotten. And we're in this process of remembering and forgetting. And we set it up that way. And it was so neat. A niece of mine came to Grace Cathedral today. I haven't seen her in 5 years, and I think I didn't see her but once 5 years before that. And she's 32 now. But she started asking these deep questions, right? And I got to say the same thing to her. It's like we set it up. We set ourselves up. We aren't victims of the world out to get us, or even people out to get us. We are the magic of the universe who chose to forget that that's what we were and what we are. So why would we do that to ourselves? The only reason that makes sense to me is we did that to ourselves because we love the feeling of remembering.
Yeah.
Right? And
Well,
that's what we're up to, a mass remembering and an individual remembering at the same time.
Yeah. When you've got eternity on your hands, a long time. It's a long time.
Well, that's an Alan Watts quote. Is that where you're going?
No, no, I don't. It's a Scott Thomas thought right now.
There you go.
But
Okay.
there's nothing new that hasn't been said one way or the other. But you know where I want to take it is, honestly, we're all very blessed. We're white. We're privileged. We've been fortunate to have a lot of faith and a lot of amazing perspectives. All the travels, all the places, the trip that Peter's taking, all the places you've been. Um, and so we're very, very blessed and we're very privileged. And I want to acknowledge that as exciting and as wonderful as these times can be from the vantage point that we're describing, it's also really important for us to have compassion for the people that it's really, really scary and really confusing. And one of the things that I've been really drawn to you, Peter, some of the things you've turned us on to, very much what I'm appreciating about the Sign Network and especially the compassion games is that as we are in this illusion of separation, and if we're lucky, we have moments of remembering our divine oneness and our divine unity. And if we're really lucky, we kind of remember it a lot. But it's also important to remember that most people are not in that world. Most people are in, how am I going to pay? How am I going to eat? How am I going to pay my rent? I've lost my job. Also, I just want to point to, as a coach, how many families I'm working with that are being torn apart by different belief systems. Pro-Trump, anti-Trump. Bill Gates is our savior. Bill Gates is the devil. Name it, the police are terrible. The police are misunderstood. Black lives matter. No, all lives matter. No, Black lives matter. I mean, there are so many areas right now where we're polarizing as a country. And so I want us to speak to, okay, what does the Caravan of Unity really mean? And how can we apply all those really fun, cool experiences to people watching who are maybe struggling, that are alone, that aren't feeling that woohoo? And how can we apply the compassion games? And I'm really eager to hear about what the compassion games are. So I'd like to bring the focus to that, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Because I am incredibly privileged. And we almost have to start off any conversation like this with that. So thank you, Scott. That it's crazy times, and so yeah, let's bring it down, let's bring it home, and that feeds right into John and Summer and the compassion games, and so yeah.
So tell us, what are the compassion games and how do we play?
Okay. Well, you can't lose the compassion games. The more people play, the more people win. And the irony of it, what happened for us when His Holiness the Dalai Lama came to Seattle, that was the same year that Karen Armstrong won the TED Prize and wished for a charter for compassion for our times. And saying that the golden rule was something that unified us, but we needed a new vision for the golden rule. And we thought that the compassion was, and we define it as empathy into action. It's exactly what you're speaking to, Scott. You've got to make space to appreciate what it's like to walk in another's shoes.
Yeah.
And there's so many beautiful examples happening because of Black Lives Matter that people are shocked to realize, oh my God, I did not realize how hard it was to be Black in America and what that would mean. And there's been beautiful examples of that and painful examples of that, awakening to that. So what happened for us is we decided that Seattle was going to become a compassionate city and started a 10-year campaign. When the charter was unveiled in 2009, we were surprised that you can only sign as an individual. Institutions couldn't commit to compassion as part of the structure because structural change is what we need, and that's hard. Well, one city was outstanding in their performance of compassion and action. The mayor actually ran on it and was elected, and that's Louisville, Kentucky, and Mayor Greg Fisher. So we had the mayor and his team come to Seattle. We honored them for their good work. Then he wrote me a letter when they went home claiming that they were the most compassionate city in the world and would be so till proven otherwise. I'm from Brooklyn. I said, what? What do you mean you're the most compassionate city? It was such a great thing he did because surprisingly, when I would tell people on the street, and we would go out on the streets to recruit people to do service. I mean, compassion in action are service projects, everything from a super organized project like the compassion games have been played in prisons to people just doing random acts of kindness. But when I told people, well, the mayor of Louisville says they're the most compassionate city, people would say, what? What? How do I get involved? The pride that we take in place was able to show up on the way we would actually act towards our neighbors and towards ourselves and to the world. So the compassion games became a way that we could encourage people to form teams and participate. Throughout the year, there's a couple of times each year that we do it around 9/11, the Global Unity Games, around Earth Day, Martin Luther King Day. These are times when teams form and they commit to go out into their community because you can't think about competition. Its root is competere. The word really means to strive together.
Mm.
People don't realize that it's an illusion. You're not competing with others. You're really competing with yourself. How do you be the very best self you could be? And in fact, we call them co-opetitions. So we're cooperating to compete, not against each other, but with each other, and use that inspiration to do more and more good deeds and bring more and more love and kindness and compassion to our communities. So I'll tell you more about it, but I want to stop to let Summer add to it because she's been so key to working with the teams all over the world. We've had millions and millions of people play, and there's a report map that they share what they've done, that people are able to be inspired by what other communities are doing so we can cross-pollinate in creative ways.
Yeah.
I love Summer's title with the Compassion Games. She's the Global Chief Joy Officer. So that's
Yeah,
coolest.
dude. See joy. Yes. Yes. Well, I also want to speak to what you also offered into the space of the truth of these times, and with all of the, you know, overwhelming amount of things to create more and more separation and more pain. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about the compassion games is it creates a way to take that grief or pain or overwhelm or like a sense of kind of where like apathy. There's something about these times that I think all of us have seen in people where they don't look alive. Like there's so much happening that it's hard to stay present. And compassion in some ways, especially with the amount of difficulty that people are having, it's almost a privilege to actually fully express compassion. So, and then the thing that comes to mind for me, I've actually been doing some of my most impactful work around understanding white privilege and going deeper into the what I represent being white right now with a very, very dear friend and an ally that I know has been on your show too, Scott and Trish, Antoinette Roots Data. I've been wanting to support Black voices and the relations that I do have, and how through the sign network, I think a lot about like, okay, we are two white people, and yes, we're the co-founders of the Sign Network, which is about this global synergy offering, and how can we use that privilege for the things that are really most at the fringe and needing to talk about. And that is something that has been very much more front center for the network itself, that there is a level of recognizing there's a lot more white people that are in the network. And so how can we use the privilege of recognizing that truth and do something about it? It's one thing to go and not do anything because it's so overwhelming, whoever and whatever the other or the separation story is. And so for me, it's like when I get into that place of service, especially for the most other that's going on, that like for my own most personal, like in my neighborhood, the other, in my family, the other, culturally, the other, like the biggest other that's going on is when I feel like I can be doing the best necessary work in the world. And so, as John was saying, compassion is about empathy and action. So there's something about kind of like leaning into those places that can be really, really uncomfortable. Like I have felt for myself, it's just very uncomfortable, the conversation. And I think it's a journey to be white and want to be a white ally to black black people right now, and an accomplice is the next level. Like what does that actually look like, so for me, I think there's a lot here in sense of like the Love Coach Academy. Like what can the Love Coach Academy do for black lives? What is a way that we can step forward in a way that's useful and helpful, kind of get out of the way and make the voices that need to be heard have a place to be heard, and like how can we participate and help. And I just continued to try to do that as much as I possibly can.
Well,
And that it's an everyday journey.
mhm.
Participation isn't just on Mondays and Tuesdays, right? This is every day. How am I a part of anti-racism culture? Every day. A very dear friend of Antoinette's, that's one of the new founders of Wall of Moms International. She says, I want to see that all white people are waking up every morning. I think I actually watched this on your show. It's been stuck in my mind, to take the pledge to get up every morning and say, I am committed to creating anti-racism culture.
Yeah.
Every day, like what can I do to do that every day? And that has been very alive in me, of how I can do that
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I was just going to say, here's a good example of a compassion game. Befriend the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go, and literally we did this in India. These kids, 1,000 kids were playing, and we had them go up to the people, the ones that they're most avoiding. In fact, in Kabul, Afghanistan, these kids,
Wow.
amazing,
Oh my God.
at the Marifat
Some of the
school.
most courageous.
These kids are they've lived their
kids.
whole lives at war. And the people that they were most avoiding, they went up to and said, hey, I want to be your friend. The power of a game is you get out of your comfort zone. You're willing to try something maybe that you wouldn't do before. And I've been seeing that. I want to say that this conversation is one of the most healthy conversations that we as Americans are having.
Oh my God, isn't it?
Healing is learning, and learning is healing. And for the healing to happen, we've got to own the mess that we've made. And there are a lot of people that really feel marginalized, that we don't realize. The abuse of power is connected to this, the unconscious bias that each of us have, all of us have. And if we, they say authenticity grants authority.
Mhm.
So the vulnerability that comes with saying, hey, I don't think I'm privileged. Talk to me, help me see. I mean, I'm hearing more and more of that. Summer and I have been talking to family members that we never thought we'd been able to have this conversation with.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say it's opening people's hearts and opening people's minds. So maybe there's something there that you didn't see. There's a blind spot we all have.
Absolutely.
That's
Good.
a key point. That's such a key point. Is that we don't know what we don't know, and it's our perspective that in our culture or in our family and in the social groups that we live in, it's really the blind spot that we live in. It's our perspective that's created. It's a filter. And so just having compassionate conversation, unified conversation, loving conversation with deep compassion around making other people not separate, but making them very much as yourself. And I just want to drop a little thing in that if you want to support Marty Casey and her Ungun Institute, we've had her on. And if you want to support the Wall of Moms, please look up their websites and really support them, and not just donate, but actually support and bring out speak about their projects, speak about this project, Caravan of Unity, watch the shows, like them, send them out, because this is how, my family is going to see on my or on my page, my Facebook page, they're going to see what I'm doing and what I'm aligned with. And if you share it with your friends, they're going to see where you're aligned, where your heart-centered aligned with.
You know,
Yeah.
since the murder of George Floyd, we've had 7 all Black voice shows where pretty much either it was on Straight Talk or Saturday Night Live, where we just kick back and let them speak. And there's a beautiful modeling that took place yesterday, or 2 days ago now, on Wednesday, after the most recent shooting. Um, uh, there's only one Black player for the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team. His name is Mookie Betts. And on Wednesday, he came into the ballpark and he said, "I'm sorry, guys." And he's, by the way, the best player on the team. He said, "I'm sorry, I can't play today. I am so upset by what has happened. And I feel like I need to use my position as a ball player to sit out." Now, it's only 3 years ago that when Colin Kaepernick would just kneel during the anthem, that he basically got banned from football unofficially. So here's a guy saying, "I'm not going to play today." And the entire team, 24 non-Black players, a lot of Latins, but non-Black players, all rallied and say, "You're not going to play. We're not going to play." And they came together, and then they had the 2 kind of leading Black players and the 2 leading white, or the leading Mookie Betts, the Black player, the leading Latin player, and 2 white players kind of give a talk about why they were doing this. And what I really loved was the white players just said, "We're just here to support. We're here to learn. We don't know. We don't know what they've gone through. We don't understand. We just want to take tonight to learn more and to understand." And so I think as privileged white people, it's really important for us to listen, to do a lot of listening. And, Trish and I have, we're going to continue to do at least one show a month. It's just Black voices teaching us, helping us to learn, like Antoinette, who's been on our show twice now in the last month.
I'd really like to just point out one thing out of all of the shows that we've done. It really is about changing the mindset. That's what everybody has brought up. It's changing the mindset to dissolve that we're separate, dissolve that there's difference, and listening, slowing down, and opening your heart and your arms to another. It really is about the kind, compassionate, loving place. I'd love to hear more about the Sign Network. Can you tell me more about what's going on with you, Summer?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see what happened with that. Yeah.
Well, one thing I just want to say too, because we haven't really clarified. So there is, if you want to play the compassion games, so you go to compassiongames.org, and the games starting in September start September 11th. And it's the way we track compassion is we count how many volunteers, how many hours of service, how much money raised, and also, the impact that you're making. So there's a report map, and it's very fun, and it's an amazing way to kind of be a part in that sense of what Scott was saying earlier about feeling about the isolation that's going on. Is everything we do is an invitation. And so the Sign Network is what we've discovered is the ultimate compassion game. Is we've found over all these years of communities and schools and teams and cities that are all energizing compassion and service in their communities, that the compassion games became a place to really serve how to be collaborative. It's like we all want to work together, and sometimes that is like one of the hardest things to do. And so the Sign Network has also become an ongoing kind of monthly service to upping that behavior change of the necessary behavior change that, like, at least from the Sign Network perspective, is one of the things that we see is really, really important right now is actually working together. So like Antoinette and Unity Earth and so many
And
of,
Ungunned,
and
Marty.
actually, yes, and Love Coach Academy is, we are all, it's realizing we got to do this together. We can't do this alone anymore. Anything, all of the things that we're doing. And so throughout the network, we've realized one of the ultimate compassion games is actually caring for each other. And so sine waves has become the ultimate compassion game. And SIGN stands for Synergized Impact Network Exchange. And an example of it is actually happening right now. So right when Scott went live, we through the network have built this trusted sharing. So it's built on actual authentic trust between individuals, organizations that have Facebook pages and groups, and we have cultivated this kind of muscle building of sharing for each other. So when Scott went live on Love Coach Academy's Facebook page, it was a stream, and we were able, through a different technology stuff, we were able to magically also make it a wave, and it reached over multiple Facebook pages and groups that are a part of this trusted sharing network that is behind the Caravan of Unity. It's behind a lot of the things that we're talking about that we see are all different opportunities to participate, not stay at home and be alone anymore, or even like sit back and be entertained. These are all invitations to get involved and participate. So
who wants to be my accountability buddy for the compassion games?
Oh, I love that.
game
Yeah.
on, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game
no,
on.
exactly. And leveling up. I mean, up leveling is what this is about. So
Yeah.
to ask someone to say, okay, well, trust me to be the admin on your Facebook page, have over 200 pages agree to do that.
Yeah.
That's one of the measures of trust here. So we've made it such that we can empower each other. This is a way to build an alliance of social change innovators committed to behavior change at scale. Because being kind and being compassionate is good, but we need even more than that. We need to up the game. We actually need to change our behavior, and that's tough. We know what it takes for all of us. And one of those behaviors is saying we want to collaborate and then really not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Here's a way to really do something about it. So any member can go live. That stream turns into a wave when other people agree to share it on their pages. So Unify, Uplift, Connect, all of these are saying, you know what? We really do need to turn what we have into what we need. All we need, we have the power. It's a power with. We just need the agreements with each other. We
Yes.
learn how to have the conversations with each other to say, hey, I understand your concerns. Here's how we can do this in a way that we all can be wiser and we all can be stronger and we can power up each other to grow together as we rise together. That's the vision of the up convergence that's coming as part of Peace Weekend. That's the vision of us creating what we call unprecedented unified action.
And all of this really, though, is also about having fun. Like, there is so much fun in the network, and our meetings we do monthly to support the network. Wow. I mean, it's fun, it's deep, and I mean, it's medicine. I think there is a medicine here too that I feel you're both leaning into, Trish and Scott, about like love, like amping the love, right? And supporting people in their relationships. There's something about whenever we I'll speak for myself, when I walk away from an experience that is really truly synergy and this coherence of like, you really feel there's an exchange and reciprocity going on where there's caring and sharing, and we're all boosted up and feeling better. When we walk away from that, we just feel better. I mean, it's like vitamin C, when we actually show up, get out of our own way, whatever it is that maybe, hey, I have insecurities I face every day, especially in collaboration. I mean, I'm constantly going, oh, like slipping into the competition thing or comparing myself. Like, I still face that, but I know I want to work through that, because I really believe in the sign network is also in, spirituality gone wild, and some of these other it's like there is a space for everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody is needed at the table, and there's something unique that Trish brings to the table that I can't bring. There's something different about Scott. When Scott shows up, it's like, right? Or with John, like we all, and I'm also speaking to every single person that's here.
Absolutely. Everybody watching.
that it's not just about us that's speaking here. This is like so not about John and I. And I feel like I can say this is so not about Trish and Scott either, that we're here to like
Yeah.
go, hey, this is actually about you, like stepping up into whatever it is that you feel called to, you know, like there's a call going on inside of you, and may you really rise into that, you know?
I so agree with it. I want to riff on it for a minute. Let's just take a breath. Let's all breathe together. Everybody watching, let's just breathe together. And yeah, even those of you watching the video replay, we're still all breathing together. And who can relate to this idea that I'm about to put forward, which is inspired by what Summer and John are saying? How many of you out there have always known on some part of you that during your lifetime something very significant and possibly very scary was going to happen? And that you had a unique role, a unique part to play in whatever it is that was going to happen. I bet all of you have had that. I know almost everybody I talk to does. And I think we all recognize that we don't want to go back to normal because normal was dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
Normal was a car heading for a cliff.
Yeah.
We were burning down the Amazon to make more burgers. Okay. So we're not going back to normal. And the world as we know it, knew it, is dying. And I'm going to use the caterpillar analogy. That caterpillar, by the way, do you know that caterpillars are voracious and they eat way beyond the sustainability of their environment?
Mm.
Caterpillars are gluttonous. They're pigs. We have become gluttonous. And so now there's this global timeout, slowing everything down, and the caterpillar dies.
Mm.
And it becomes really bizarre what's going on because death is terrifying and scary and uncomfortable. The caterpillar becomes this incredible, like, gooey soup. But in the gooey soup, there's all these little butterfly cells, the imaginal cells. And the imaginal cells find each other. There's Trish. There's John and Summer. There's Pato and Antoinette. And we start finding each other and connecting and collaborating. And as the imaginal cells come together, they create something very new. They create the butterfly, which flies. It's not this thing crawling around on the ground. The butterfly flies. If you're listening right now, you are an imaginal cell in the new paradigm.
Mm.
Absolutely. Every single person drawn to us, to this, are part of creating a beautiful new world. Now we're still kind of in the soup. We haven't all, we're not flying yet. Okay. We're still in that awkward, strange, how's this going to work out time? And we're probably going to be in it for a while. But we got each other. And that's why through Sign Network, through the Love Coach Academy shows, through the Caravan of Unity, through all these things that are going on, every weekend now, there's amazing online experiences. So, it's no longer about having the money to fly to the festival, to fly and go to the groovy concert. We all can participate because pretty much all of us have access to the internet where we're coming together. And every single one of us has a beautiful role to play in this new world, in this new paradigm that we're building. And so we happen to be the ones on camera today. We happen to be the ones that are doing what we do. But if you're watching, if you're listening to my voice right now, take a breath and remember how precious you are, and we need you. And you. And you, yeah, especially you.
You. This is a call to action, right?
Exactly.
This
And
is a call for more love, more compassion.
That's right. That's right. Because Because we say, I love, we say that your concerns are my concerns.
Yeah.
And that we're realizing, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, we may have come on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we're right in that space somehow between no longer and not yet. So it's our moment of choice. That's one of the many things that's unfolding on this caravan as we head to Peace Weekend. And Summer just dropped into the chat here on Zoom a link to the form that people can sign up to play. We want every voice to be heard. So this unity and peace, this up, the idea of waking up, growing up, cleaning up, showing up, linking up, lifting up. And
There it is. I've gone to the website. Team Up form.
We're looking to team up. And people can fill out this form and say, you know, I have an idea for the world I want to share. I want to be a presenter. We'll have 20 plus convergence rooms going simultaneously. People say, you know, I want to host an open space session. We'll do open space. Or some people say, you know what? I have so many people I know in a particular area. I want to host a convergence room. So there's a new way of organizing that we're modeling together.
And John, for context, what are the dates of World Unity Week?
Okay, so from September 11th through September 21st is the world. It's the 11 days of global unity. Rick Olfick's been doing this with We the World. And the 8 days.
Who's a partner of the Caravan of Unity.
Partner, sign member.
Caravan of Unity is the container of all of this.
Caravan building momentum as we hit, like I said, 9/11 is going to be in Chicago, but the Up Convergence starts that day. It's an 8-day convergence leading to this 3-day peace weekend that is intended to launch a decade devoted to achieving the global goals, creating peace on earth. David Gershon and his social change game, Peace on Earth by 2030. A lot of us sense that this is that turning. We're at that moment for that great turning to occur. And this next decade, the by 2030 decade, gives us, now we can't wait to 2030. It doesn't wait, because if we don't change our direction, we're likely to wind up where we're headed, like you were saying so beautifully, Scott. We know that what we were doing wasn't working. Well, we have a chance to, our moment of choice, to shape this new future. And it starts with love and compassion and caring and kindness.
And I just want to say too, of that beautiful invitation that Scott just had us pause and really like be with this awareness of that caterpillar, and that, you know, what is a step you could take right now. And I just want to like nudge you into a step being to fill out that form. Fill out that form, because there's a role for everyone, or multiple roles.
For anybody who's not able to see it, you're going to go to airtable.com.
We can put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Online too.
We'll put it online.
It's a big link.
Okay, great. Oh, okay, great.
But Peace Weekend, if you go to peaceweekend.org, it's going to be there.
I know, but
so,
it's not.
And that's really where we're all going to be organizing around this weekend, where we're using our collective capacity to rise together.
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Great.
On live.
Okay, cool. You know, I also want to just remind people that, okay, what's another step you can take? During this time that we've had to slow down, and so many of the distractions have been taken away from us. We can't go to the movies or clubs or bars or restaurants or festivals or concerts or sporting events. Now's the time to work on our relationships.
Yes.
Because we're relationship people. And that's why, by the way, when the pandemic started, Love Coach Academy started doing 2 or 3 free webinars every day. 2 or 3 free webinars every day to provide support for relationships. Because frankly, right now, a lot of relationships are in a lot of trouble because people are spending more time together than they used to, than they had planned, in many cases than they wanted to. Because all the distractions have been taken away, there's extra pressure on those relationships. Alcoholism, way up. Domestic violence, way up. Sadly. If Trish doesn't mind my sharing, very early on in the pandemic, one of Trish's girlfriends was beaten to death by her husband. And it immediately was a wake-up call to us of, oh, wow. Look at what happens when the pressure of all of a sudden economic uncertainty, health uncertainty, people trapped together, and that horrible thing happened. And it really was a wake-up call for us.
Yes.
So now is the time. What can we do today? Work on our relationships. How can I choose more connection over separation? Who's somebody I care about that I'm fighting with because I'm trying to convince them that I'm right about some belief system? Pro-Trump, anti-Trump, pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, pro-mask, anti-mask.
Yeah.
We got to stop it.
Yes.
Please, we've got to stop that. I suggest, can we accept none of us know for sure what any of that is? We don't know where this started. We don't know where it's going to end. We don't know the truth about Trump or Bill Gates or vaccines or any of that. We don't know. We only know what we read, and then the algorithms see what we read and send us more of what we're reading to help convince us that what we're reading is the truth. But unfortunately, there's all these other people that are reading something different, and their algorithms are sending them more feedback. So the Fox News people are getting the Fox News perspective, and the Washington Post people are getting the Washington Post perspective. A very different perspective of the same events. Let's bring it to ourselves. How can I be more loving? How can I listen? Remember, we got 2 ears, only 1 mouth. So let's listen more. Let's choose compassion for ourselves,
Yes.
for each other,
Yes.
and really cultivate that. And by the way, in terms of compassion for self, I'm going to do a commercial. I'm going to put the spotlight on my partner, Trish, who does an amazing show every Thursday called, drum roll, please.
The Self-Love Show. And my dear partner and I, Don Lightamora, we teach self-compassion tools, self-love and empathy tools. And it's really building the foundation of self-love so that the more love you can give to yourself, the more love and spaciousness and compassion that you can give to others. Our show also goes into a lot of tools to help you deepen your relationships with other people. So please show up at 10 a.m. on Thursday mornings.
It's a great show. And it's so important because we are here to learn to love, starting with ourselves. I'm going to do one more pitch while I'm pitching. Tomorrow is Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. And we're doing a really special show. I mean, every show is special, to be honest. But of all the shows we've done, and tomorrow is the 21st one we've done. We do one every Saturday night since the pandemic began. We're doing a really tricky topic, navigating our way through these unprecedented times. And it's, again, our wanting to support people to stop the polarization, to stop the right wrong. And we've got some really amazing speakers, people like Charles Eisenstein, helping us to pull up and look at the big picture, to have a higher perspective. And yes, we are also bringing Trisha's favorite comedian, JP Sears, in. And we've got just a really wonderful group of people. And as always, wonderful music. Our musicians are Samuel Che, iStar, and Diane Patterson. I did my sound checks with them today, and they're all wonderful musicians. So join us tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific time for Saturday Night Alive, the Global Peace Tribe.
I just want to be like, kind of be like a testimonial. I love the Saturday Night Lives, and they are such an incredible way to sort of transmute what maybe Saturday night used to be in like the normal world. That I just think it's like the best way to kind of like transform it into something so deeply nourishing. Talk about self-love. I feel like Saturday Night Live is like a great self-love choice to and also like for people in relationships, it's almost like it could be like a date, you know, like go and watch Saturday Night Live together, alive together. But I'm like such a fan, and
thank you.
So great. Oh, yeah. And the structure of it, the time of it may seem long, but it's not. It's like so juicy. I'm like, whoa, 3 hours have passed. Like it goes by fast.
You know what's amazing? Lately, the shows have been going really long, like 4 or 5 hours. And the majority of people stay with the show through the whole thing. It's a really kind of an amazing thing. So, all right, since we're talking about Saturday Night Live,
Yeah.
I'm going to play. This is the world premiere of our brand new bumper. We created a bumper, so it's like 30 seconds. So, oh, let me do the computer sound. So you guys are everybody watching. This is the first time seeing our new bumper.
Nice.
It is
Ah,
the world premiere of our brand new bumper.
Beautiful.
I wasn't going to do that, but then I got excited. So
Yeah,
thanks.
no,
Awesome,
it's
awesome.
good. The last week's one was absolutely amazing too. I hope there's ways for people to see the recording.
Yeah, all the replays. The best thing is register. So we've got your email address. It's free. I mean, if you want to make a donation, you can, and we appreciate it, but people can register for free. And then you get the email and we send you all the previous links. So, and you can go back and see Reverend Michael, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, or a week from tomorrow night, you get to see John and Summer because they're going to be two of our guests on The Shift is coming.
Yes. There is so much happening.
I think
Oh
the
my
shift is
gosh.
here,
The
but
shift
yes,
has
it's
come.
definitely been going on.
How to ride the shift.
But hopefully, like the ultimate shift is that night.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reminded this indigenous wisdom was shared with me once about the self-love dimension. It's intrapersonal holiness
Yes.
for interpersonal wholeness,
Oh,
right? Starting from within, working in the circle in a sacred manner, we heal and develop ourselves, our relationships in the world. That's what Chief Phil Lane shared with me. That's the summary statement of 40 years of consultation. And it's just, we're at that moment now when we can take responsibility at levels we haven't before for ourselves and for each other. We will
yes.
rise together or we will fall together.
Mm.
And I just love what you guys are doing. This is such a beautiful expression, especially with these weapons of mass deception going on around us. It's exactly like you said, Scott. Oh my God.
Mhm,
They're
mhm.
getting cleverer and cleverer at manipulating and understanding emotions and how we feel. And we see the division arising now. This is the moment to step up and rise together.
And
thank you so much
how
for what
to
you're doing.
to take that and like almost like taekwondo or something that like there's an opportunity here. How can you dance with all these different ways that are trying to confuse you or whatever, that are pulling you out of your alignment, the responsibilities to take? How can we dance or gamify our reality in a way that can ultimately, hopefully, we can just experience a heck of a lot more joy. I do feel that that's in the sense of peace on earth by 2030. There is a lot more joy, and may that sovereignty and that choice in the most painful places in the world be able to reach into themselves or into the stars and connect to something that brings hope alive in your being and in your relations, and ultimately I think the universe, planets connected.
I want to get the three of your perspectives on this, and also those of you watching. And I recognize that on all the different Facebook pages, we'll go back, we'll take a look, we'll see people's comments. And also I recognize, again, most people who watch our shows watch the replay. So even if you're watching the replay, please pop comments in there. We'll go take a look. But here's my question. So I think we're beginning to see that there are so many places where we can polarize. And, we mentioned some of them before. What if the challenge is we either go into polarization and we continue the right, wrong, good, bad story, which has led to all wars. You're not going to go to war and put your ass on the line if you don't think you're good and the other one's bad, right? It's like, and as a relationship coach, relationships, whether it's between husband and wife or friends or family members, the problem is not the differences that are inevitable, because we're all going to have differences. It's when we go to war by thinking we're right and the other one's wrong. I'm good, you're bad. I know more than you do. That's the toxicity that destroys relationship. So now we have a lot of things we can fight about. Masks, no masks. Black lives matter, all lives matter. Police are good, police are bad. Protect the police. Ban and destroy the police. You know, there's all sorts of things like that. So we can continue to stay in the good, bad, right, wrong paradigm, or we go above it. We expand above it and we go, wow, look at all these different realities. What if there's room, and apparently there is, for all of it to be true and none of it to be true? All of it's real and none of it's real. If we can get to that place of transcendence that takes us beyond, as Rumi wrote, beyond those castle walls of right and wrong, that beautiful field, let us meet in that field. So I'd love to kind of hear how you all relate to that thought, to that perspective.
Oh, I've got a lot about that.
Take it away, partner.
So, Scott, you were on the Self-Love Show just recently with Dawn and I, and we had a really interesting conversation about who we are. Who am I? We are not our judgments. We're not our personality, identity, ego. We're not the things that we believe we are. We're not our thoughts. And in just this sense of finding more compassion for oneself, or understanding what the judgment or the polarization is showing us, gives us a lot of opportunity to hold it. You know, I always take notes. I don't know if you all know about this, but as you were sharing this, I was taking notes and really feeling this, that judgments on another is a judgment of oneself. Is where we judge ourselves. A judgment of others is where we judge ourselves. And a judgment is fear. It's a fear, and it's the exact mirror image of something we deeply want and need and crave. So if we can hold that fear of wanting to polarize another person or make them wrong, just to stop, slow down, take a deep breath, and what is it that I want? What am I fighting for? And if we can come from that place of want and need, rather than a place of wanting to make them wrong or a power dynamic, like that's the place where we can really integrate into each other in the deep compassion and empathy and unity that we're all really longing for.
Right.
And Rant.
Beautiful.
I agree. And I would just add into that I feel that part of the opportunity we have as well is, I just kept thinking as Scott was talking too about having a vision, how important it is in these times and in the struggles that we may have, or the judgments, the patterns of judgments that we may be dancing in right now, of like, oh yeah, that's a judgment I'm just doing with myself. Cool. That is, you know, how can we like bring it home to the love that we're just actually recognizing, hopefully recognizing, oh, that projection just needs to, like, let me just take it off of my mom or that neighbor that triggers me and bring it on back in to where it actually started, which is just home. And it actually started in like a massive amount of love. We all hopefully entered this planet, I believe, completely in the ideal state of love and understanding of who we are and why we're here.
Yeah.
So if we could go, oh yeah, And then, like, what is the vision? What is your vision? What is the vision that you have for your community, for your neighbors? If you can fuel that versus I'm thinking of other dances I step into sometimes, codependency, like trying to latch on and control what's going on around me or something, or with my husband. I do it sometimes, I know. And then it's like, and then if I unhook and bring it on in, wow, oh yeah, there's this vision I have for myself that I forgot about, or that I have for the world, of what the world actually looks like and feels like and tastes like in 2030.
Mhm.
And then suddenly there is space to be something different in that moment that fuels that vision versus that pattern, that judgment, that fear, that dance. I just want to say, we have our dances. So that's what comes up for me.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Summer.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, I had this exercise recently. I was engaging on Facebook with someone who totally I disagreed with.
That's so exciting.
I mean, you know what I'm going to do? I said to them, let me spell out exactly what I think you're saying. And keep telling me, no, you didn't get it until you totally feel heard. Like you were saying before, seek to understand before you need to be understood.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
And it was this empathy. And I said, okay, let me make sure and I kept saying everything that I thought he was saying about me, And there was a moment when, of course, it disappears, the difference that keeps us apart. When you connect through your similarity, you can innovate through your diversity. And then the difference becomes a source of strength. And you realize, wow, I never really saw it that way. And therefore, when you shift from positions to values and you discover, boy, we have so much more in common. But oh my God, these issues that become so like the most important thing in the world, this need to be right. In fact, someone once told me war stands for we are right.
Yeah. That's right.
And we'll kill each other over this stuff.
Yeah.
And never have a moment to take that pause like you've done so many times here, Scott. It's so meaningful to say, wait a minute. Maybe alignment isn't the same as agreement. We don't have to agree on everything.
Right.
But we realize that we have such shared values and we have this world to make together. And it's up to us to overcome those differences and transcend and include the difference as a source of strength.
One of the central teachings of Love Coach Academy is that the moment a difference arises, slow down and make the prime directive to understand each other. And the family members or the couples who do that grow closer through their differences. But what gets in the way, there are three pits that we all have fallen into in our life when a difference arises. We can go into right, wrong. We can fall into that pit. We can fall into the pit of attack and defend, or we can fall into the pit of power struggle. I want to get my way. And so it's really important to be aware of those three pits and to be in the awareness, oh, we just fell into power struggle. Oh, wow, we're in right, wrong right now. Oh man, I feel attacked by what you just said to me and I'm defending myself, right? Recognize those pits and keep coming back to seeking to understand. What is it you really want me to know and understand? Tell me more. And just those two phrases. What do you want me to know or understand? Tell me more.
Yes.
And if we learn how to keep that focus, then we grow closer. Oh, that's how you see the world. That's why, that's your interpretation of what you heard me say. Oh, that's why you react to what I did. And that creates intimacy.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us.
Because
I'm going to put the spotlight on you too, beautiful.
she is so good at that. And never, I swear, in all the years, 6 years we've been together.
It'll be 6 years,
It'll
November
be
2nd.
okay. And she said, you made me feel this way.
Mm.
That just isn't a possibility.
Yeah.
That it may be that we say, hey, when you said that, what I made up about that,
Yeah. That's super key right there.
you know,
That's so
then
key.
taking responsibility. But this idea that no, you caused me to feel this way, oh, that is danger.
Yeah, it is.
And we're able to live in a really a loving space because we know those feelings are coming from within. And it's not that it's your fault that I feel this way. And she's great at that. In fact, I'm sometimes in May, she'll come back after saying, you know what, I realize, and it just feeds this kind of respect and love and
I'd love to riff on that a little bit, if I can.
yeah.
So this is the foundation of what I teach, especially in the self-love show, is that our feelings are created by wants and needs, which are values and beliefs that we've subscribed to as either children or values in our community. So if we can really take responsibility that, oh my God, what's alive for me right now is this feeling of upset, happiness, or whatever feeling on the whole wheel of feelings it could be, is that it's really coming from a belief inside of me. So if we can just stop, slow down, acknowledge that this is the thought running, this is that's what I'm feeling, and then drop even lower into your belly and your body, and just really like to get to that point of like, I actually want connection, and I'm it's alive for me right now, like a feeling of disconnect or anger or sadness or fear is my fear of disconnect, and it's really that place inside of me that I've created so many years ago, or a belief or a fear that I have that it's not available to me in the moment. So, thank you for sharing such vulnerability with us, Summer and John.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, I think one of the most powerful dances that we can potentially is that the power one. When you said that, Scott, I mean, I think that is so huge right now in our most intimate, relations, and then the relationships that we're having with what's happening in the world and where power is and all the things. It's like, how am I in relationship with my own power right now? In light of that is like my biggest like growing edgy thing is about is about power, and that whole thing about like taking that judgment and like what you were just saying too, Trish. It's like just bringing it back to that. It's simply just something that I forgot that I haven't been feeling in myself. Like it's just that's it with everything. There's literally a neighbor like doing a blast torch right now. I don't know.
Fire. You talked about fire at the beginning.
I don't really know what it is, but anyways, it's very loud. But yeah, I think
It's not that bad, Jess.
Oh, okay.
There's an interesting parallel of what you just said, connecting to what we were talking about a moment ago, which is the ultimate act of empowerment is when we say and claim, I am 100% responsible for my thoughts, for my feelings, and my needs. It is the ultimate act of empowerment.
Yes. Let me tell you how I really feel, though.
yeah. Don't hold it down there, Trish.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Responsibility, taking ownership of yourself, your thoughts, your feelings as your own, as it created internally, is the most empowering, the most loving thing, and the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself and everybody else.
Okay. I want to read. Oh, I cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Can I just have one more moment?
Go for it.
I just want to bring Dawn Light in again. And she always says this one amazing thing. And I hear her in my head all the time. So I'm just going to drop it in for you guys. I'm in her spiritual psychology program. Mary Holnick shared, it's not the issue that's the issue. It's how you relate to the issue that's the issue. It's the relationship to the challenge or the human experience that's actually the issue that you're having. It's not the issue. It's how you feel about it. It's how you think about it. It's what you believe about it. So again, it's not the issue that's the issue. It's how you relate to the issue that's the issue. Thanks, Dawn. I love you.
We love you, Dawn.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to read a couple of, because we've got some beautiful comments from the people in our Zoom room. And thank you, Zoom room people, for being with us.
Oh, thank you.
Uh,
Uh, so David writes, oh my God, so much love, uplifting the entanglement. I like that. Connie writes, yes, John, yes, Trish. It's about us. Important to take it personally, to look at the parts of ourselves we don't yet love. We're all in a dance of souls.
I know that,
Um,
Con.
and then
Yeah.
Connie wrote, yes, beyond duality, it's a conscious, loving universe. There's only love, unconditional love that gives us everything we ask for. What are our requests? Our consciousness. And then she goes into the various aspects of consciousness about creating our reality, the observer effect, putting where we put our attention, and so on. So thank you, Connie. And then finally, also from our Zoom room, is from the Martin Luther King speech given 57 years ago. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
So
57 years ago today.
wow.
So good.
You know, we're evolving from I have a dream to we have a dream.
That's right.
We
Yes.
are the dream.
Yeah.
Be the dream.
Yes.
Have you ever reflected on the most famous nursery rhyme? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And that nursery rhyme is like the meaning of life. You know, really, our life is the boat, row gently, enjoy the ride. It really is all the dream anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We just need to remember that. We knew it all along when we were singing that.
They sang it to us when we were little kids, right? And if we could just remember that.
Awaken and remember.
All right. Well, I love you too. I so appreciate all that you're doing. Look forward to playing with you next Saturday night, a week from tomorrow night. And I'm sure we'll connect between now and then. Trish, I adore you.
I adore you too.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. And share this. If you enjoy the show, please share it out with your friends. This is how we meet new people. And God bless you. And let's all choose connection over separation. Okay. When am I having a separation thought? When am I in attack and defend or right, wrong, or power struggle? Seek to understand instead.
Game on.
All right. Good night, everybody.